Hey guys, today I'm going to fix my computer. As you can see, this is my computer desktop tower. I thought I would take this opportunity to show you how to custom build a computer desktop from the components. And of course, this one I didn't build, but I'll show you the inside, what it looks like inside, and what components you need, so that you know how to build one yourself. So let's start with this computer tower. This box, this case, is pretty simple. Of course, when you build one yourself, it's not going to be gateway like mine, but the principle is the same. So on the front of this computer box, you can see it's very simple. There's a power button, right? This basically turns on and off your computer. Of course, you need to connect this to your motherboard so that it will turn on and turn off the computer. And there's normally front panel for audio, card reader, and your front USB. These also need to be connected to your motherboard for them to work. Normally there is also optical drive. In this case, I have a DVD drive here. And all these components need to be connected to the motherboard inside. I'll show you the wires later. But on the front, that's pretty much it. Okay, and let's see the side. On one side, let's see the back first. So this is the back of the computer. Now here is where you connect the power cable. That supplies this unit. Basically is the PSU, power supply unit. There's a fan, and that's where you connect the power. We'll see inside how to connect this power to the main motherboard. And this is called an I/O shield. It's input-output shield, which covers the motherboard's input-output connectors. That's pretty much just to prevent dust. Anyway, so you can see this is where the motherboard connects with the outside, whatever you have. And these slots here, they connect the extra components, the PC cards. If you want to add more things like a additional video card, audio card, whatever you want to add, these are where you add them. So the side of the computer, you can look here. I/O shield is on the left side of the back. So the only side you normally need to open is the right side. Okay, this side, because that if you open this, then you can see directly through looking at the motherboard. This side you normally don't need to open unless you need to get access to some screws. You have to screw on, unscrew. But normally you don't need it. Okay, let's open up this side. On this side, this right side board is normally secured with 2 screws. They are very standard. Some brand name cases, they may not have a screw, they just have some kind of a clip. You can open it directly. But anyway, so building a computer, all you need is a screwdriver. That's all you need. I mean, you could use some extra light, some smaller screws when you need it. But if everything goes smoothly, all you need is just Phillips head screwdriver. So the case, these are just standard screws. You'll use Phillips screwdriver to unscrew them. So let's open it up. So what you do is pull to the back, towards the back, and lift. The back cover, the right cover is now off. So this is what you see inside the computer. Let's put it down for a better look. Okay, this is what it looks like. As I explained before, this is the PSU, power supply unit. When you buy a computer box, you need to first select what kind of a power supply you have, because some of them come with power supply, some of them don't. So if it doesn't come with power supply, you need to select what kind of power supply you have. It depends on the power, like how many watts, and also the connectors, of course, right? So yeah, there are different type of connectors for a power supply, so you need to make sure that works with your motherboard. And this one, for example, the main connector here, let me show you. This is the main connector from the power supply. It goes to the motherboard. This is a 24-pin on my unit, but yours may be different, right? And also the secondary, the smaller one, a 4-pin power connector. Is it 4-pin or what? Anyway, it's a smaller one. So these two will supply the power to your motherboard. Make sure these connectors and match your motherboard's specifications. And you also need to select what kind of a power you have connecting the extra components, like the DVD drive and the hard drive. There are basically two main things. I don't think I'll have this one. The Molex, which is for the older IDE drives, and this kind of you have here is for the SATA drives. It's L-shaped niche here, slot, and this will only supply power to the SATA drives. But most new computers are SATA drives, so you probably only need to worry about this type. And up here, this is the drive base. These bays will hold a few drives. In my case, this is DVD, and these bays will hold the hard drives. For these, because they are, like I said, they are SATA drives, besides the power connector, which is big L-shaped from the power supply, you connect to the back of your drive, whatever you have. And the second connection to the drive will be this small L-shaped connection, the SATA cable. So this transfers data, and the big one transfers the power. As simple as that. And because it's L-shaped, you can't go wrong. As long as you don't force it in, if it doesn't fit, change another direction, it will just click in. Yeah, so a lot of people are afraid to open computers because they're afraid they might break it, but it's not that possible. As long as you don't physically break something and you prevent static charge, just touch your hand to something metal and before you touch anything inside, then there's no chance you can break it. It's pretty simple. It's like building a puzzle. If it fits, it goes in. If it doesn't fit, that's not the right place to connect it. That's all. Okay, so besides the power unit, the drives, and there's only the motherboard. This is the motherboard. That's where the CPU goes, and there's normally a fan or heat sink, which is a metal grill, that help dispensing the heat from the CPU. And there's here these chips and the memories, and that's pretty much all you need to make a computer work. CPUs, memory, and if you add more things, basically you can add more things here on this PCIe slots. But if you're just building a basic computer, you don't need this. Like I have here is a wireless card. You can connect to Wi-Fi, but normally when you have onboard Ethernet for desktop, you probably don't need this Wi-Fi either. So pretty much you just put in the power supply, slide in all the drives, and put in the motherboard, put CPU on it, put memories on it, connect all the power cables, the smaller one, the big one, and connect the power cables to the drives and the SATA cables to the drives, and that's it. It should work. So this is where, it depends on your motherboard, this is where the SATA cable should go to connect these to the SATA base here. And like I said, the front panel, there's some wires probably marked as black or white. These wires need to go to either the onboard USB connections. It will be marked on the motherboard, by the way. And the front panel, which is the power control. There should be a front panel connector on the motherboard to disconnect it. Okay, so that's it. Once you connect these wires, you press power, the computer should turn on. All the drives should connect to the motherboard by the cables you connected, and everything should work. Okay, now since we're fixing this computer, I think the motherboard is broken. I'm going to take everything apart and take the motherboard out and replace it with a new motherboard I bought. So take out the motherboard and first disconnect the power. So this small 4-pin connector disconnected. Then the main power supply here. There's a clip, so you need to press the clip and then lift to disconnect it. Okay, we disconnect the power like I'll show you. So you see, this is the clip, right? So you have to press and lift the clip and then pull out the cable. Otherwise, the clip will prevent you from doing that. Okay, so these are out, and we're gonna pull out all the cards and the cables from the front panel and from the drives. So it's gonna take some time. Probably a good idea to mark these so that you know which goes which. But like I said, they won't go to the wrong places because they won't fit. But still a good idea to mark them so it helps you to connect them faster. Okay, so far we have taken the Wi-Fi card off the card slot here. It's pretty simple, right? We'll just unhook the card bay and just get it out. And we have disconnected the speaker cable, which connects the front panel speaker audio jacks into the motherboard here on this connector. Like I said, you can't go wrong because you see, this one has a pin missing, right? So you can't even connect it to the wrong side because the pin here is missing one pin and it has to go exactly connected to this connector this way. So there's no way you can go wrong. Okay, now we have taken out the hard drive base completely. I mean, on your box you may not be able to take it out, but just disconnect the SATA wires. From here, all the SATA wires, I've disconnected them. There's 2 hard drives I have and 1 for the optical drive, but I have to disconnect these cables and disconnected the power from the drives. So now you see, all that's left is the front panel connections, which includes the USB from front USB, which you may even not even have, but connect it for the convenience because you want to access USB from the front, not from the back. And then there's this front panel connection, which controls the power button, and if you have, there's a reset button on front, or a hard drive indicator showing the hard drive activity. These all go on the front panel connection. So let's disconnect these. Oh, actually, front panel is here. This one is probably a front USB, another front USB. They look quite similar, but again, you cannot go wrong. So don't worry about these. Yeah, because some of the USB, like single USB, probably is just for USB connection, and this bundled one probably is for the card reader if you have one, the SD card reader, whatever you have. So just disconnect these. Okay, now that all the cables are off, well, if you're replacing a motherboard, then you have to take it out, or if you're just placing a new one in, then just put a screws in. So there's several screws to secure the motherboard to the chassis. So there's one here, one here, one here, one here. They're clearly marked with a ring or the like white circle. So and they are all the standard screws, Phillips head. So there's no way you can go around. Just unscrew these. Okay, so I have unscrewed a total 8 Phillips head screws. So the motherboard is now ready to come out. One thing I should mention is that if you have a brand name computer like mine, it probably comes with a authentic Windows like certificate or like a Windows serial number, and from Windows 8 and up, the serial number, the certificate of authenticity, is normally stored on the CMOS on your motherboard. So if you change your motherboard, your Windows probably will become like non-activated. It will show you that it's not authentic. So if your motherboard is still working, you might want to go to the CMOS and find a way, Google it, to try to write down the serial number. If it's not working anymore, then you have to talk to Microsoft regarding how to reactivate your Windows, which I'll have to try later because my motherboard is completely dead, right? So yeah, I have to try to talk to Microsoft and argue about it. So just so you know, I'm gonna try to do another video about that. So alright, we have removed this motherboard. All you have to do is lift. Once you unscrew these, just lift and pull it out. So now it's time to remove the CPU. If your CPU is still good, you want to put it on a new motherboard. It's time to remove that. And memory. Memories are pretty easy. Just press the clips on the side, on the end. It'll pop out. 2 sticks of memories. We'll keep for later. And now remove first you have to remove the fan. There are screws for the fan, securing the fan onto it. There's also a fan power connector, supplies the power to the fan. You just have to unconnect this, unscrew, and try to take the fan out. Let's do this. Okay, the fan is out. It looks like this, and the CPU is right beneath it. It may have some kind of a paste on it. That's for securing the grill, the heat sink to the CPU, so that they will dispense heat perfectly. So if you have some, you might want to add more paste to it. And the CPU itself should be pretty easy. It's basically a clip. You just pull this pin and lift. It should come off. Okay, so now we have lifted. Just pull the pin and lift the CPU, and it should be ready to come off. Now let's get our new motherboard. This is one I bought from ASUS, refurbished motherboard. Take this out. If you buy a new one, it should come with a heatsink, I/O shield, and software for the drivers for the device on the board. Some cables, but mainly the motherboard. It should be protected by the anti-static plastic bag. And let's take it out. Okay, that's the new motherboard. You see, it's very similar. But when you buy the motherboard, you have to make sure it goes with the CPU. These are should be marked as socket numbers. In this case, if you see here, this one works with socket LGA1155. That's for second generation i3, i5, i7s. So it needs to match your old board exactly. So the old board I have here, i3, which is socket 1155, and this one is socket 1155, so it will fit. And also the memory, of course. And mine works with the old one was with DDR3, and this should be DDR3 as well. So when you buy a motherboard, these are things you want to consider, make sure they fit. So now let's put the CPU in the new socket, and just be careful, don't bend any pins, it's very delicate. Make sure everything goes in correctly. Okay, so the CPU is in a new socket. It's like I said, don't put any force. It should come off very easily. All you have to do is lift from one corner, it should come off, see? And when you put it in, it should go in without any effort. Don't force it, you're gonna bend a pin if you force it. Okay, now we just simply need to, actually this part, I don't think we need it. This part, your protective part, take it out. So this is a plastic protective cover. Once you put a CPU in, remove the cover, and we should now be able to make sure it goes in perfectly. We don't want to put any force. Make sure this goes in perfectly. Put this in. If you're noticing you need too much force, then probably you're doing it wrong. So don't put any force on it. Okay, it looks like to remove the space for the fan, you have to remove these two screws, which are like star shaped. So you do need some specialty screwdrivers. Multi-head screwdriver should work. When you take this off, the back plate should come off where these four screws are based on. Okay, so I unscrewed the back plate from the old board, put on the new board, secured these three screws, and reattached the CPU. So everything should be okay now. Let's put on the fan. Okay, the fan is now on. I've connected the power cord to the CPU fan connection. And make sure you have a good battery onboard for the onboard CMOS and whatever memory you need to retain. And I think that's it for now. We're going to put it in the box, the tower, before we put anything else. The CPU is the only thing that you need the motherboard off in order to install. But other things you can connect later. Okay, now we're going to put it in the box. First we will replace the I/O shield, then we'll slide this in and secure all the screws. Okay, the motherboard is now in place, all screws secured. So what I've done, I've connected the main power supply, the smaller power connector. So basically power supply is on the board, and I have connected the front panel, because this is when you press the power button it should turn on, right? You need this one, but others I'm not putting in yet, because the basic troubleshooting requires nothing attached, right? In case there's any issues, that you know it's only the motherboard, not the peripherals. So I'm going to put in the memory sticks, and we're ready for a power test. Okay, now everything is placed now. I've connected the SATA cables, 3 of them, two hard drives and 1 optical drive. The USB front panel connected, it's right here. USB, another USB for this card, this Wi-Fi card. You got front speaker panel, it's right here, connected. I got another USB that's for the card reader right here, connected. So everything is connected now. We're gonna do a formal boot. This is the first time since we replaced the motherboard, and everything should be working. Power is now connected, and press the power button. Fan turns on. CMOS message on. Okay, do some troubleshooting. Probably the USB connector is not connected right. Okay, it's now booting. Apparently the Wi-Fi card, the USB connector, maybe it's not supported or something. It's causing the issue. So I've unplugged the Wi-Fi card, but no big deal. I still have the Ethernet on board, and Windows is booting now. That's great.